bestbookbits.com brings you the book summary of Genius Foods, Becoming Smarter, Happier, and More Productive While Protecting Your Brain Life by Max Lugavere. New York Times bestseller. Discover this critical link between your brain and the food you eat and change the way your brain ages in this cutting-edge practical guide to eliminating brain fog, optimizing brain health, and achieving peak mental performance. From media personality and leading voice in health, Max Lugavere. After his mother was diagnosed with a mysterious form of dementia, Max put his successful media career on hold to learn everything he could about brain health and performance. For the better half of a decade, he consumed the most up-to-date scientific research, talked to dozens of leading scientists and clinicians around the world, and visited the country's best neurology departments, all in the hopes of understanding his mother's condition. Now in Genius Food, Max presents a comprehensive guide to brain optimization. He uncovers the stunning link between our dietary and lifestyle choices and brain functions, revealing how foods you eat directly affect your ability to focus, learn, remember, create, analyze new ideas, and maintain a balanced mood. Weaving together pioneering research on dementia prevention, cognitive optimization, and nutritional psychiatry, Max distills groundbreaking science into actionable lifestyle changes. He shares invaluable insights into how to improve your brain power, including the nutrients that can boost your memory and improve mental clarity, and where to find them, the foods and tactics that can energize and rejuvenate your brain no matter your age. A brain-boosting fat loss method so powerful it's been called biochemical liposuction, and the foods that can improve your happiness both now and for the long term. With Genius Food, Max offers a cutting-edge yet practical roadmap to eliminating brain fog and optimizing the brain's health and performance today and decades into the future. On with the book summary. Introduction. After moving away from home and living life on his own, Max returned home in 2010 to find a new, subtle change in his mother. At only 58 years old, Max's mother, Kathy, was walking differently, complaining about mental fogginess and delaying her responses when it came to normal requests, such as asking her to pass the salt at the dinner table. It wasn't until the summer of 2011 that Kathy revealed she was having memory problems and had sought to help a neurologist. When asked what year they were living in, Kathy broke down crying because she couldn't answer that seemingly simple question. Max attended countless doctor's appointments with his mother, wondering how a healthy 58-year-old woman could be experiencing symptoms that much older people experience. Through years of research, Max discovered an important link between diet and cognitive health. In an attempt to uncover the facts about food, Max teaches readers how to cure brain fogginess, depression, and anxiety, while also decreasing your risk for diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ALS through simple diet and exercise. Through Genius Foods, you understand your brain in a new way and learn where to find the nutrients that can help you to remember things and improve your memory. Chapter 1. The importance of diet for brain health. When you think of the human brain, you might be among those who believe that the brain eventually stops developing. The good news, however, is that our brain is the most powerful organ in the body and even improves over time. Did you know that your brain is capable of storing nearly 8,000 iPhones worth of information? In fact, when scientists tried to stimulate just 1 second of the human brain's ability, it took supercomputers 40 minutes to do so. Unfortunately, our lifestyles of today are hindering our brains from functioning to their fullest potential. Author Max sought to research brain health once his mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease at just the age of 58 years old. With countless doctor's visits, Max wasn't getting the answers he needed, so he consumed himself with researching how environmental factors affected brain health. Throughout his research, he discovered how important diet and lifestyle are to brain function. For example, Deakin University's Food and Mood Center revealed in 2017 how even major depression might be treated with food. Participants cut sugar, fried food, and processed meats from their diets while adding vegetables, olive oil, nuts, fish, whole grains, legumes, and lean red meat. The results showed that their depression thoughts reduced dramatically. As you can see, our diet and lifestyle plays a major role in our cognitive abilities. So what hinders those abilities? According to Max, the most common factors that compromise our cognitive abilities are break inflammation with our immune system under constraint, stress from our diet and lifestyle. We begin to experience widespread inflammation that places us at risk for damaging our DNA. becoming insulin resistant, and experiencing weight gain. Break overfeeding today. Food comes as easy as swiping on our smartphone. With an unparalleled amount of food available in today's society, we now experience low brain energy, accelerated aging, and decay. Break nutrition deficiency. Despite the increase in the availability of food, we are failing to eat the right foods. In fact, 90% of the Americans now fall short in obtaining adequate amounts of at least all vitamin or minerals, which lead to accelerated aging and a decline in cognitive function. Break toxic exposure with toxic additives like syrups, industrial oils, and emulsifiers. We begin seeing an increase in anxiety, depression, suboptimal cognitive performance, and long-term risk for disease. Break cognitive stress. In a fast-paced world, our bodies are unable to handle the increase in stress and anxiety that many of us suffer from today. This chronic stress is toxic to our brain function and also causes us to seek out unhealthy foods. Break physical stagnation. Life is largely sedentary nowadays compared to the lives of our ancestors. Exercise, however, boosts our long-term brain health and enables us to fend off diseases we once thought were unpreventable. Break sleep deprivation. Good quality sleep is one of the major keys to optimal brain function and health. When we are well rested, we gain the ability to make dietary and lifestyle changes and ensure that our hormones are working properly. Sleep purifies our brain and backs up our memories, and while many of us know the importance of quality sleep, we still struggle to sleep properly. And at the end of the day, these villains wreak havoc on our brain. Luckily, Max has laid out the genius foods that will reset your brain and make you feel and perform your best. Chapter 2. Oils and Fats. When it comes to oils, which one should we be consuming for optimal brain health? Well, extra virgin olive oil is known to possess a compound called oleocanthal, a compound that has anti-inflammatory effects so powerful that it's compared to taking a small dose of ibuprofen. Inflammation affects our brain's ability to change throughout our lives and can even cause depression. Extra virgin olive oil is a staple in the Mediterranean diet, and many people who consume these kinds of diets experience a lower incidence of Alzheimer's disease, partly because of the oleocanthal compound. While extra virgin olive oil has anti-inflammatory benefits, there are certainly many other foods that have similar properties. However, since the demonization of fat that began in the 1950s has become misinformed about which fats are good for consumption and which fats are harmful. You see, back in the 1950s, Ancel Keys convinced both the US government and the public that consuming fat was the reason behind heart disease epidemic. However, the information released to the public was widely misguided and biased. The average household was cooking with canola oil and corn oil because they were cholesterol-free and had no saturated fat. Additionally, people were using margarine as a healthier alternative to artery-clogging butter. So what should we be consuming? Max clarifies that good fats include omega-3s like DHA and EPA. These fats are anti-inflammatory and support brain function. Foods high in omega-3s include wild fish, pasteurized eggs, and grass-fed or pasture-raised meats. An Ohio State University study found that simply taking a daily fish oil supplement that had 2,085 milligrams of anti-inflammatory EPA per day resulted in students achieving a 14% reduction in inflammation. Additionally, students experienced a 20% reduction in anxiety. Another trial at Byrne's Cartel Hospital gave participants daily omega-3 supplements containing 1,320 milligrams of EPA and 880 milligrams of DHA. After 26 weeks, the researchers found participants displayed a 26% increase in effective functioning. Of course, fish oil supplements aren't a cure for all mental health. While also increasing your omega-3 fat consumption, you would also benefit from consuming more monounsaturated fats. Some common sources of these fats include avocados, avocado oil, macadamia nuts, wild salmon, beef, and extra virgin olive oil. You should, however, avoid eating foods high in trans fat, which aren't just bad, but Darth Vader meets Lord Voldemort bad. You can look out for foods with trans fat by looking for hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils listed on food packages. These oils are found in packaged foods like cakes, margarine, nut butters. where they prevent oil separation, and even some vegan cheese spreads. So why is trans fat so bad? Well, in terms of the brain, trans fat can integrate into your neural membranes and stiffen them. Think of a corpse with rigid mortitis. Trans fat has been linked to the brain shrinkage and increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Chapter 3, Aging Toxins. In today's society, we have an abundance of food compared to our hunter-gatherer ancestors. However, we have also introduced foods that create more problems. One of those problems is the number of carbohydrates and refined sugar, which is now added to everything, including juices, crackers, condiments, and soft drinks. No matter how much we try to avoid the sources of carbohydrates, food manufacturers are masters at disguising them in food. In fact, Robert Lustig has identified 56 unique terms used in place of added sugar, including canned juice, fructose, malt, dextrose, honey, maple syrup, molasses, sucrose, coconut sugar, brown rice syrup, fruit juice, lactose, agave, syrup, glucose solids, barley malt, dextrin, and corn syrup. So what's the harm in these sugars? Sugar is strictly sticky like maple syrup, and the difference in sugar also sticks to your insides and can't simply be washed away. This process is called glycation. Once sugar sticks to your insides, it begins to damage the surface of proteins and cells that are necessary for your organs and tissues to function properly. The most damaging aspect of glycation is that it leads to the formation of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. AGEs are known as gerontotoxins, otherwise known as aging toxins, and are associated with inflammation and oxidative stress. In fact, a brain affected by Alzheimer's disease contains 3 times the amount of AGEs as in a normal brain. Aging toxins are especially present in foods that are grilled or seared. Browning of meats promotes the formation of AGEs, and processed meats like sausage and hot dogs, for example, contain even higher amounts in natural forms. Therefore, the safest cooking style involves moist heat, like steaming or sauteing. Maybe you're thinking that skipping meat altogether sounds like a good idea. Well, you simply can't judge the health quality of food strictly by its AGE content. For example, wild salmon has a considerable amount of AGEs, yet has been associated with healthy cognitive and cardiovascular aging. So don't skip the meat. You can simply opt for a generous portion of dark leafy greens on the side of your roasted chicken to minimize the impact of aging toxins. When it comes to healthy eating, it seems that fruit doesn't necessarily do our brains any favors. In fact, a study done by the Mayo Clinic found that excessive consumption of high sugar fruit like figs, dates, mango, banana, and pineapple may cause as much metabolic and cognitive imbalance as processed carbs. That doesn't mean all fruits are bad. However, Max says that low sugar fruits like coconut, avocado, olives, and cacao are all good for brain health. While cacao isn't necessarily a fruit, it certainly has many similar brain benefits as other genius foods. The best fruit to consume, Max says, is blueberries. Blueberries are high in antitoxins and have an abundance of compounds called flavonoids. The flavonoid most abundant in blueberries is anthocyanins, which aid in memory function of humans. Dr. Kirkeran's research revealed that 12 weeks of blueberry supplementation improved memory function and mood and reduced fasting blood sugar in older adults at risk of dementia. Chapter 4, The Truth About Carbs. You probably heard the term good carbs and bad carbs, right? We associate bad carbs with foods like confectionery, bakery products, like cookies and cakes. However, how often do we choose wheat bread over white bread? Because we believe that wheat to be a healthier grain. We might find ourselves even choosing to cook brown rice over white rice. Author Max found himself falling into this trap and believing the whole grains like wheat, quinoa, and brown rice were healthier. However, he still noticed that his energy levels and food cravings were similar to that of a roller coaster throughout the day. When observing largely grain-based Mediterranean diets, Ansel Keys saw how people built their diets around plant foods, seafood, vegetables, legumes, fish, olive oil, grains, and nuts. He, however, failed to take into account the lack of meat consumed during the day he visited back in World War II, so when he revealed his findings, they were largely biased. Still, the healthy grain myth began as people consuming more whole grains, believing they were turning to a healthier option. So what's the problem? While grains are considered healthy foods for small amounts of vitamins and fiber, they are actually causing a spike in blood sugar as effectively as table salt. This happens because the starch they contain is simply glucose molecules bound together, then come apart as you chew them. Therefore, the pancreas begins to release insulin into the bloodstream to convert those sugar molecules into energy. However, over a period of time, this can result in resistance to insulin. That resistance to insulin results in a myriad of problems with brain health, including diseases like Alzheimer's. This can be illustrated by the effects of insulin on the mysterious sticky protein we process in our brains called amyloid beta. When the brains of Alzheimer's patients were examined under autopsy, scientists found the brains to be filled with plaques formed by the amyloid protein. Additionally, sugar binds to the amyloid beta, which makes only the protein become even stickier, which makes it less likely to be washed away during the glymphatic system's cleaning of your brain as you sleep. The combination of sticky protein on the brain and the increase of insulin resistance leads to two major diseases, Alzheimer's and diabetes. Therefore, Max advises consuming a diet that is low in carbohydrates and high in micronutrients and fiber. Foods like avocado, asparagus, bell peppers, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, celery, cucumbers, kale, tomatoes, and zucchini are better alternative sources of energy. The genius foods to consume is dark chocolate, rich in both magnesium and flavonoids. Dark chocolate promotes insulin sensitivity, vascular function, athletic performance, and more importantly, blood flow to the brain, which reverses the signs of cognitive aging. Max recommends looking for chocolate with cacao content of 80% or above and eating 1 bar of dark chocolate a week. Chapter 5, the benefits of cholesterol. One of the most important aspects of brain health is understanding vascular health. You see, the health of our veins and arteries affects more than just our hearts. The brain is fed nutrients, energy, and oxygen through a grid of estimated 400 miles of microvasculation. If any part of the network performs poorly, the brain experiences a reduction in blood flow, which results in cognitive impairment. Therefore, we become a risk for Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia. Luckily, we have a much deeper understanding of the vascular system today. So how can we ensure that we're eating the right foods to promote vascular health? Well, you've likely heard to avoid foods that are high in cholesterol and saturated fats, right? It turns out that's a myth. In 2010, Robert Karras, the top nutritional expert in the United States, concluded that there is no significant evidence for concluding that dietary saturated fat is associated with an increase of CHD, coronary heart disease, or cardiovascular disease. In fact, cholesterol is a vital nutrient for the brain, where 25% of the body's total cholesterol content can be found. Dr. Yen Kun Sin recently published findings of the harm of using cholesterol-reducing medicines, stating if you deprive the brain of cholesterol, then you directly affect the machinery that triggers the release of neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters affect data processing and memory functions. In other words, how smart you are and how well you remember things. Additionally, a recent study of 20,000 people found evidence that using cholesterol-lowering medications called statins increase the risk of Parkinson's disease. In the Framingham Heart Study, 2,000 male and female participants were subjected to rigorous cognitive testing. Research found that those with higher levels of cholesterol scored better on cognitive tests than those involved abstract reasoning, attention and concentration, verbal skills, and execution abilities. On the other hand, those with lower cholesterol performed more poorly than the cholesterol-ridden counterparts. One of the most popular foods that many people have feared due to its high cholesterol content is eggs. However, eggs are actually important for cognitive function. One study showed that those suffering from metabolic syndrome found positive results when reducing carbohydrates in their diet and incorporating 3 whole eggs per day. Patients saw a decrease in insulin resistance and an increase in low-density lipoproteins, LDL, which transport cholesterol through the bloodstream. The study proved that an egg yolk is perfectly designed to contain everything needed to grow a healthy, optimally performing brain. In other words, eggs are one of the most nutritious foods you can consume. Chapter 6, How Fasting Helps Our Brains. Today we are experiencing an energy crisis. That crisis, however, refers to a lack of energy in our brains. How often do you experience mental fatigue, insatiable hunger, brain fog, and forgetfulness. You see, our brains require a tremendous amount of fuel in order to function properly. That's because we're using them constantly, whether we're studying for a test, preparing for a speech, or just swiping through a dating app. Your brain burns through fuel at the same rate as the leg muscles during a marathon. So how can you fuel your brain properly? Ketones are one of the most efficient forms of fuel for your brain, and to put your body into ketosis, you should cycle between feasting and fasting. The idea of feasting and fasting is far from new. In fact, almost every major religion has its version of fasting protocol. In the book of Acts, from the Christian New Testament, it is said that believers would fast before making important decisions. Essentially, these ancient traditions understood the psychological effects of fasting long before the benefits were proven by science. Today, however, humans spend the majority of their time feeding instead of fasting. Typically, we eat from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, which is far different from human history. Throughout history, they faced an unpredictable food supply. If we were to mimic this pattern today, we could force the production of ketones. There are many protocols for this process, but a popular protocol is the 16-8 method of fasting, which entails 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of allowed eating. By using 16-8 method every day, you can reduce insulin and promote breakdown of stored fats. Women, however, start with 12 to 14 hours of fasting instead of 16, as extended fast may negatively affect fertility. An easy way to begin intermittent fasting is by skipping breakfast. While cereal companies have been promoting the importance of breakfast, it's actually a non-essential meal. When you skip breakfast, you make use of the hormone cortisol, which helps mobilize fatty acids and glucose. In a study conducted by the Louisiana State University, overweight participants were instructed to consume all their calories between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., the average feeding time for most people. However, researchers then told them the subjects to skip dinner and stop eating at 2 p.m. Eventually, participants were burning fat more efficiently, and they experienced improved metabolic flexibility, the body's ability to switch between burning carbs and fats. In other words, adopting a ketogenic diet is good for the brain. For over 80 years, the ketogenic diet has been used as a powerful treatment for epilepsy. It has been shown to dramatically reduce seizure incidence and calm inflammation in the brain. It's been so effective that it's currently being evaluated as an option for other neurological diseases associated with brain inflammation, including migraines, depression, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ALS. While adopting a ketogenic diet is good for the brain, it's also important to eat ketone-generating food. Max recommends eating foods that contain a natural source of fat called medium-chain triglyceride, or MCT. MCTs are found in coconut oil, palm oil, and goat's milk. Additionally, consuming grass-fed beef is critical for cognitive function. Grass-fed beef is rich in minerals like iron and zinc, and is a great source of omega-3 fats, vitamin B12, and vitamin E. Researchers believe that deficiencies in these nutrients are linked with brain-related disorders, including low IQ, autism, depression, and dementia. When it comes to consuming meat, researchers Charlotte Newman designed a trial to see the effect of meat consumption on the developing brain. After dividing children into 4 groups, she found that those who consumed meat gained more muscle mass and had fewer health problems than those children who consumed porridge plain or with milk. Kids who ate meat also showed greater confidence in the playground, which is a sign of improved mental health. Lastly, the meat group showed the steepest rate of improvement in math and language subjects. Chapter 7. Fiber and Gut Health. We often think of bacteria as something we need to clean or even kill. We buy antibacterial soaps and sanitizers in hopes of ridding our house of these invisible particles that are only out to harm us and make us sick. The truth is that we have been sold a lie about bacteria, and without them, we wouldn't be here. In fact, there are countless microbes on our skin, around our ears, in our hair, in our mouth, and even in our gut, known as gut microbiome. Your gut is a home to the microbial cells that are essential to keeping your immune system healthy, extracting energy, and synthesizing important chemicals like vitamins. Unfortunately, our modern diets have negatively impacted the host-microbiome relationship because we fail to consume the one thing the gut needs: fiber. Specifically, periodic fiber. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans ate diets rich in fiber, roughly 150 grams of fiber per day. Today we only consume about 15 grams per day on average. Luckily, there are plenty of foods full of prebiotic fiber, including berries, leeks, kale, avocado, spinach, arugula, garlic, onions, coffee, unripe bananas, raw nuts, fennel, orca, bell peppers, broccoli, radishes, dark chocolate, and sprouts. So how can these foods help your brain? Prebiotic fibers metabolize and then transform into chemicals called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. Butyrate, for instance, is a particularly desirable fatty acid because it's been shown to promote neuroplasticity and neurodegenerative processes. But most importantly, butyrate has been known to reduce inflammation, which means you can think more clearly, focus, and remember things better. One study found 1,600 adults for an entire decade and showed that those who ate more fiber were 80% more likely to be free of hypertension, diabetes, dementia, depression, and disability than those with low fiber consuming counterparts. Fiber consumption determines healthy aging more than any other variable studied, including sugar intake. Of course, the gut does more than just help your brain. It helps your immune system as well. You see, if the gut isn't healthy, it will begin to attack itself, which is known as autoimmunity. There are many people who suffer from autoimmune diseases, including celiac disease, MS, type 1 diabetes, and Hashimoto's disease. Even worse, these diseases are seemingly on the rise. But why? Well, Max suggests that our modern diet leads to permeable guts that expose our guts to potentially dangerous bacteria. For instance, gluten, the protein found in wheat, rye, barley, and many packaged foods, is not commonly digested by humans. When we digest gluten, the protein breaks down into large fragments called peptides. These fragments have been found to lead to a permeable gut and eventually evoke an autoimmune response. When our guts are permeable, we become susceptible to bacteria that cross over into circulation and wreak havoc in our systems, including our brains. This inflammation leads to sickness behaviors like lethargy, depression, and anxiety. Your brain's best friend, however, is vegetables, but most importantly, non-starchy vegetables like spinach, Romanian lettuce, and cruciferous veggies like cabbage, kale, mustard greens, arugula, and bok choy. These dark leafy greens are low in sugar and filled with vitamins and minerals that our brain desperately needs to function properly. In fact, the best way to produce fatty acids like butyrate is to increase vegetable consumption like dark leafy greens. So try eating one huge fatty salad a day filled with kale, arugula, Romanian lettuce, or spinach, and douse with extra virgin olive oil. Avoid nutrient-poor varieties like iceberg lettuce, which is essentially just water and fiber. Chapter 8: How Diet Affects Neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are found in many prescriptions today, including antidepressants, ADHD medications, and drugs that reduce anxiety. All of them aim to alter your levels of neurotransmitters to make you feel good. As humans, we tend to alter them ourselves by consuming things like coffee, alcohol, cocaine, and MDMA. We even expose ourselves to sunlight to make us feel a certain way, right? In many cases, we take prescription pills to put our neurotransmitters back on track to make us happy. If we're unable to do so, however, new research suggests that many common brain problems are not caused by defects or neurotransmitters, but rather by neurotransmitters that are unable to work the way they should because of underlying dysfunctions. Similarly, dementia is not caused by a low acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter involved in memory, but rather acetylcholine is low because the neurons that produce it are slowly dying. In other words, medications are simply acting as band-aids rather than solving the underlying problem that is causing the disease or disorder. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter best known for its role in REM sleep, learning, and memory. Low levels of this neurotransmitter are associated with Alzheimer's disease, where acetylcholine produces neurons become damaged. To ensure optimal acetylcholine's function is to avoid a broad class of anticholinergic drugs. These drugs are used and available over the counter to treat everything from allergies to insomnia. Research published in the JAMA Neurology shows that regular users of acetylcholic drugs have lower brain glucose and metabolism and poorer cognitive abilities. These drugs include nighttime cold medication and over-the-counter sleep aids and muscle relaxants. So do chronic users of these drugs have an increased risk of developing dementia? The simple answer is yes. A study of the University of Washington found that people who used these drugs were more likely to develop dementia than those who didn't use them. So how can your diet help? Well, many foods are rich in choline, including seafood and poultry, but eggs may be the best source, with one large egg containing about 125 milligrams of choline in its yolk. Other top foods include beef liver, shrimp, scallops, beef, chicken, fish, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and spinach. Once you focus on acetylcholine, you should focus on serotonin. You know, the neurotransmitter that influences how you feel. Taking supplements like vitamin D and omega-3s can be a simple solution to increase your serotonin. But how does lower serotonin affect your brain? It's been proven that low serotonin levels are linked with behavioral changes, including increased aggression, impaired learning and memory, poorer impulse control, and impaired long-term planning, all of which are traits that reinforce feelings of depression. Depression is commonly linked to a poor diet, and if we improve our diets, we improve our mental health. In a 2017 study of the Deakin University revealed that a Mediterranean diet focusing on fresh vegetables, fruits, raw unsalted nuts and eggs, olive oil, fish, and ground-fed beef improve the mental health of patients suffering from depression. In other words, we can eat our way to a better mood. Chapter 9, the final summary. The Genius Plan focuses on eating nutrient-dense foods for optimally performing brain. This includes eating foods like eggs, avocados, dark leafy greens, and nuts, while avoiding foods that increase inflammation, like processed oils and grain products. Once you begin to implement the Genius Plan, you'll begin to experience a myriad of positive effects such as weight loss, an increase in energy and stamina, and a happier disposition. But more importantly, you'll begin to minimize your risk for pre-diabetes or even reverse insulin resistance. You'll also lessen the number of aging toxins within your body and reduce inflammation that is common in many neurodegenerative disorders, including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ALS. Begin by throwing out refined and processed carbohydrates, including products made with corn and corn syrup, potato flour, and rice flour. These include chips, crackers, salad dressings, and soft drinks, and frozen packaged foods. You also want to eliminate foods with wheat and gluten, processed meats and cheeses, concentrated sweeteners like honey and sugar, and commercial cooking oils. Add in genius foods like omega-3 rich oils, grass-fed beef, vegetables, low-sugar fruits, dark chocolate, and 50 to 70 grams of carbohydrates a day from either ripe bananas, sweet potatoes, or white and brown rice. Keep your body moving daily while consuming a low-carb diet, and you begin not only to feel better, but you'll begin to think better as well. And that's a wrap on this book summary, Genius Foods. If you like the summary, click the link to download this. We at Best Book Bits have done over 1,000 summaries in video, written, and audio format. So check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, like, and share. Follow us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Check out the website, bestbookbits.com. And we have also put together our top 450 best book bit summaries in one massive downloadable PDF. So click the link to download this as well. Thank you for watching.